Hey, all my Crimsonites, and welcome to the Crimson Cure channel, where we embrace our femininity, increase our womanly value, and celebrate our brothers. So join me on our feminine journey to learn, heal, and grow. Hey there, my Crimsonites, and welcome to the Crimson Cure channel. I'm your hostess, femininity coach, and author of the Crimson Cure, and this is my perspective. So I had an interesting video. I'm not going to keep you too long, but we are going to just let this play really quickly, and then we'll talk about it.
The good men exist. They just don't want to admit it when they can't attract one, so they make that excuse. They got a grandpa, an uncle, a brother, a daddy, a cousin, a nephew, a male friend that they know and see is on the right path. They can't possibly believe those are the only ones. Women know that good men exist. They just don't want to admit it when they can't attract one, so they make that excuse. They got a grandpa, an uncle, a brother, a daddy, a cousin, a nephew, a male friend that they know and see is on the right path. They can't possibly believe those are the only ones. Women know that good men.
So this is something that I've said plenty of times before. When you consistently running into these horrible men that these women are claiming that they're constantly running into, that these men are abusive, they're narcs, they treat them just badly all the time. And it's a consistent parade of these men that they can't seem to shake getting these kinds of men to the point where all the men are like that. It's usually because they're the common denominator, and they can't figure out why they're the common denominator. Some of these chicks know why, and they kind of just accept it. Well, I'm not gonna change. I'm not going to improve myself, quote unquote, for no man, because they feel like that demeans them and makes them small and takes something away from their womanhood or autonomy or whatever identity they have placed on themselves. But a lot of times the women who have a lot of vitriol, when you start asking them about the men in their life, I would say about half of them will say that they have good dads and they love their dads a lot, or their brothers or the familial men in their life actually good. So if those men are good, they're not just good because they're related to you. That's not what makes them good. What makes them good is their behavior, how they approach life, how they approach people. So if they're good, then other men are good. And you can't say that out of the billions of men walking the earth that you can't, you just not in the area where they are. That doesn't make any sense. I side eye anybody that says that. I side eye men that say that every woman that they've ever been with has been horrific. It's you. It's you. You're the common denominator. And a lot of times people don't like to think about that. They don't like to think about, I'm the one attracting these people to me, and I don't like it. I don't like the outcomes. I don't like the situations and all of those types of things. But you don't make any effort to make the necessary changes or even make any effort to figure out what those changes ought to be in order to get you different outcomes. And in this case, since we're talking about women, that's been the going rhetoric since forever, that the good men don't exist, or they're boring. Good guys are boring, supposedly. And I just want to talk about the concept of a good guy and what that looks like. Nobody deserves anything. You don't know what you deserve. A good guy, only hyenas think that good, responsible men are boring. Lionesses don't think that. We actually don't think that, because we don't have this complex about the so-called bad boy. And I think that dichotomy gets discussed in such a way and in such extremes that it's almost like people can't think beyond that or think in the middle of that. When you hear these women on social media talking about they need a scammer, they need a bad boy, are these wife material women or are these hyenas? Think about the last time you heard a bunch of chicks online, we'll just keep it online, talking about they don't like no 9 to 5 guy and they don't like this kind of guy and that kind of guy. And he gotta be a baller and he gotta be, a scammer, or he gotta be all this other foolishness. At this point you gotta consider the source. Because the women that are just talking like that, do you believe that those women are wife material women whose outlook on what is a good man is to be trusted? This is the same chick that can't find a good man. So now all of a sudden her perception of what a good man is and what he's not is somehow to be trusted now. Like, that's what I want people to start critically thinking. I want people to start using some critical thought. A lot of times these are women that you would readily call hoes. Yet you're concerned about what kind of men she like. Of course she likes men that's got a certain level of dysfunction to them because she got a certain level of dysfunction to her and it fits. Nobody ever stops to think about what the lioness actually wants, which is who the good men actually supposed to be looking for and going to in the first place. Good women don't have that problem. Good women don't have this insatiable need to be with the dude that's just slumming around on the block. Like, we don't. We like masculinity when it show up. And it doesn't have to show up in this dysfunctional form. It's not boring to us. A man that is walking in his masculinity is not boring to us. It's not boring to a lioness. It's not boring to a woman that's wife material. We're actually looking for the level of stability that a good man can bring. We're actually looking forward to that. We're looking forward to that. I can speak for myself, and I actually can speak for a lot of the young lionesses that I knew. We didn't like them boys. We didn't like that. That was not exciting to us to think about being with. I'm just gonna go to the extreme, like being with the neighborhood drug dealer, doughboy or whatever, and him running around and like that wasn't appealing to us. That we didn't like that because we just didn't like the atmosphere. That atmosphere wasn't conducive to us being in a feminine space and us building like a relationship for real. Those environments that those men create are not good. They're not ideal for a lioness. And so therefore we don't gravitate towards it. We like gravitating towards like men. I mean, we don't see the non-doughboy as like a lame. We don't see that. We don't see men like that. We see men in a more realistic, nuanced way than that. The vast majority of lionesses see men in a spectrum. We're looking for the masculinity of the man, not whether or not, he can shoot somebody or like that's not, because to us that doesn't necessarily mean he's masculine. So we be going for the masculinity. And that can show up in any guy. That can show up in the nerd. That can show up in the jock. That can show up in the blue collar guy. That can show up in the quiet guy. That can show up in the assertive, popular guy. Like, it can show up in any number of men. All the men don't have to have the same personality in order to have their masculinity show up and be present and be prevalent. That's what lionesses are going for. He don't have to fit this fantastical, mythical mode of tough guy in order to, like, because lionesses are not looking for the chaos that comes with that. We're looking for stability and order. So that comes with a man that's more organized. And that comes with a man that's, just more about his business of being a man. That's what we like. So I just wanted to touch on that good men are boring. Only hyenas that are unaccustomed to order think that. Because men who are good men, who have their head on straight and they have stable emotions and things of that nature, you're not going to be able to constantly get them in arguments and just do all the chaotic stuff. You got to argue in order to be turned on for sex, and then you got to be chaotic, and you got to go through the phone, and you got to, like, all of that. A good man, a lion, he's not going for that. You got 1 or 2 times to disturb his peace in that manner before you're out. You got a couple of times, see if you can get your mind right. And if you can't get your mind right, by the time he figure it should be right, you pretty much gonna get left. And that's just the bottom line of that. And that's actually what lioness is like. Men that have standards, that have boundaries, and they stand on them. And they don't even let us go over them. We're not the exception. Anyway, just wanted to talk about that real quick. Jump down in the comment section. Let me know what you think. Like, share, subscribe to the channel if you have not. Once again, I'm your hostess, The Crimson Cure, and this was my perspective. Bye-bye, Crimsonites.